season grades as the free agency frenzy rolls along. Tim Bontemps, what grade would you give the Houston Rockets offseason?
I'm giving them an A, Graz. If you look at the way the Rockets have gone through this summer, getting Kevin Durant in the trade with the Phoenix Suns, getting Fred VanVleet locked up to a new deal, getting Dorian Finney-Smith to fill in off the bench. Houston's had arguably the best offseason of any team in the league, and they might be the biggest contenders to take down the Oklahoma City Thunder next season.
What do you think, David? Do you agree with that? Is Houston the top challenger to Oklahoma City right now?
Yeah, I think it's really Houston and the Nuggets. There is now a real hierarchy in the West. It seemed like a mishmash going into the offseason with a bunch of teams in the middle, but now it's the Thunder on their own island, and then it's the Rockets and the Nuggets. But the Rockets have built the things that you would want to worry about if you're OKC: scoring, defense, and bigs.
Yeah, they look like a strong offseason, solid A. Very good grade from Tim Bontemps. Tim McMahon, how about the Milwaukee Bucks? What grade would you give their offseason?
Howdy, Dan. I would give the Bucks a D, and I'm familiar with those Ds. I got a bunch of them during my extended college tenure. And look, I've got empathy for the Bucks here because this was like getting a term paper with a question that had no right answers. How do you instantly construct a championship caliber supporting cast around Giannis when, oh, by the way, the Supermax superstar you brought in is out for the next season? And I'll give him credit for creativity. Did not see the wave and stretch coming of Damian Lillard to bring in a modest upgrade to Brook Lopez and Miles Turner, but a championship contender it does not make.
Bontemps, did Milwaukee do anything this offseason to make you feel like they're closer to contending?
No, I mean, the start of last season, they had Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo, and now they have Miles Turner and Giannis Antetokounmpo. That is not an equitable trade. And look, while Miles Turner is, as McMahon said, a nice upgrade on Brook Lopez, a younger, better version of him, they still have not replaced the $54 million hole they have at point guard. There's a reason why the Bucks right now, I believe, are the 8th favorite to win the Eastern Conference, which is very clearly seen as the junior varsity conference in the NBA at the moment. So I understand why the Bucks did what they did. They're obviously trying everything they can to keep Giannis Antetokounmpo on their team, but it is very hard to make a credible argument this team has anything close to a real threat to be a championship level team.
All right, one more grade, the Lakers. David, what grade do you give their offseason?
We're going to give the Lakers a C+. Okay, on the bright side, LeBron is back, asterisk, probably, maybe, kind of, for them, which is a huge deal. And then also they upgraded at the center position. We say what we want to say about DeAndre Ayton, which I have, and there's concerns about him, but he's better than Jackson Hayes, and at least they have somebody in that position. Now, why is it a C+? They still have to shore up that bench. They still have to get some depth. They still need maybe probably one more big for them to feel like there's actual upgrade to this team.
There's also this weird LeBron situation that we've been talking about all week because he opted into his contract, and then his agent put out a statement indicating that maybe he wasn't really all in. So that's obviously been a big topic around the league. And yesterday, our Dave McMenamin had something very interesting to say about LeBron's future.
Dallas, I'm told that they would only be interested in LeBron in a buyout situation. So, and again, we just
because there is a deal to be made there.
Right.
If they wanted to make a deal, there's a deal.
Yeah, there's a deal to be made there, but I don't believe that's happening.
McMahon, what's your reaction to what Dave had to say there?
I mean, it completely makes sense. Is there a deal to be made, a trade from the Mavericks to get LeBron? You could punch it up in the trade machine. All the Mavericks have to do is completely gut their rotation, give up guys like Daniel Gafford and P.J. Washington, maybe Najee Marshall, Max Christie, whatever. You're giving up 3 or 4 rotation players for potentially a ring-chasing retirement tour. That doesn't make sense for Dallas. It doesn't make sense for LeBron because he has a no-trade clause. Hold on, I want to play with those guys, not have them go to L.A. So there is kind of curiosity around the league, like, could this end with LeBron bullying his way to a buyout? Now, why would the Lakers do that? That's a great question. I don't have a good answer for that one. But yeah, that is the only path I could see for LeBron James to come join Kyrie, Anthony Davis, a couple of his former championship teammates in Dallas.
How do you make any sense of all this?
This is the NBA.
Okay.
This is what happens. We have a lot of conversations like this around the NBA where things just don't make a lot of sense. And this doesn't make really any sense. We're not talking about the Milwaukee Bucks waiving Damian Lillard, who has a torn Achilles, and they're desperately trying to keep Giannis Antetokounmpo. We're talking about LeBron James, who was a second-team All-NBA player last year, who still is one of the best players in the world, if not the best player in the world, like he was for so much of his career. And again, as McMahon pointed out, yes, the Lakers could, in theory, do LeBron a favor and allow him to just go play for whoever he wants. However, 5 days ago, LeBron James had a choice. He could be a free agent on Sunday. What did he choose to do? He chose to take $52.6 million. By the way, if I had a choice between $0 and $52.6 million, I too would take $52.6 million. So I understand why LeBron James opted into his contract. However, by opting into his contract, the Lakers now have one of the 10 to 15 best players on the planet under contract for the 2025-26 season, when, by the way, they have Luka Doncic, one of the 5 best players on the planet, under contract and on their team. So you would think the Lakers would love to have 2 of the best players on the planet playing together on their team next season, which last season when they were together, they won 50 games and were a top 4 seed in the Western Conference. So I would say that's how this is still going to end. But until, as you have said, Dan, repeatedly this week, we get something from LeBron or the Lakers saying LeBron James is going to be a Laker next season, we're going to continue to have this kind of discussion.
It's just kind of hanging out there, right? And we can talk all about how it's not realistic and all the kind. But I mean, I want to ask about the Luka end of it, right? We're talking about this is a team that has to build around Luka for the future, regardless of what happens with LeBron, how much longer he wants to play, all that kind of stuff. So if you're looking at it from his perspective, what's your read on the LeBron situation?
Well, imagine the Lakers going to Luka and saying, hey, we bought out LeBron James, saying, okay, Luka says, well, what does that mean for me? They said, well, your second best player is Austin Reeves, your third best player is DeAndre Ayton. We got nothing back for LeBron James. We're going to pay this dude $50 million to go to the Dallas Mavericks team and make that team better because we know how much you love the Dallas Mavericks right now. There is absolutely no sell for this, especially when you're thinking about the fact that Luka Doncic has to be, he's got to come back to his Lakers team after a year. They have to convince this dude to stay, and saying that we're paying for LeBron James to go somewhere else to make LeBron James happy and to make your team worse, to make your next year probably hell, is probably not going to work out for Luka Doncic.
We have talked a ton about this decision LeBron James made on Sunday.
Yeah.
The biggest decision of the Laker offseason was not whether LeBron James opted in or out of his contract on Sunday. It's whether or not Luka Doncic decides to extend his contract or not on August 2nd when he is eligible to do so. And the Lakers cannot jeopardize that. And to me, if I'm Luka Doncic, if I look at the Lakers and they just, to David's point, just let LeBron James walk to go anywhere, I'm not sure why I would look at the Lakers as a place I'd want to be long term, because you're just completely handicapping this team next year. And by the way, for Luka Doncic, 2 years ago, he's in the NBA Finals. He gets traded to the Dallas Mavericks this past season, or from the Dallas Mavericks to the Lakers this past season, a team that's not nearly as good, that obviously hopes to be in that sort of conversation later. If LeBron James now walks away and he goes from being in the finals to now being on a team that's all but certainly going to be in the lottery next year, that would be, to me, just a wild set of circumstances for one of the best players in the league.
McMahon, quick final word on this for now.
Yeah, I would just like to see Rob Pelinka, Jeannie Buss explain to Luka, hey, we're donating LeBron to the Dallas Mavericks, the team that dumped you, stabbed you in the back, shamed you on the way out the door. But trust us, we know what you're doing. You want to be here long term. We're completely a competent franchise that you can put your faith in.
Amazing sales pitch.
I'd like to hear that conversation.
Yeah, it's an amazing sales pitch.
Maybe we'll get more information this weekend than we got.